I've made a simple layout. I used a background on a div. You could have used an image tag. So I have a bike banner here that has a background on it using CSS. There's the image. And then I have this shout class that makes this big message here. Get out there and bike, you won't regret it. And my goal was to match the blue in the sky. So the first trick you can use if you're using Google Chrome, the color matcher tool is awesome. So to use the color matcher tool, you sort of need a color to fiddle with. So I just put in the HTML blue. That's a terrible color. It's not the color I want, but it's going to let me play with this tool. Now the second trick is I always recommend opening a new tab when you're going to use the inspector. Now I've got a fresh tab and I can right click inspect. Actually, I'll right click the element I want to change the color of. That'll bring me right to the right. So there's no color on Shout H2 because I put it one up the hierarchy. I go up to Shout. There's my color. So in the CSS rules in the inspector on the bottom left here, there is a very nice color selector. If you select the word, you don't get it. You have to click the little square. So if I click where it says blue, that'll bring up the color selector. And normally, the color picker is already toggled. So if I bring it out on the screen, the target is going to point at a color. So let's say I want to pick one of these blues from the sky. I can do that. And there's my color right there. I can also play with this color more. If I wanted to change its transparency, I could. If I want to change it, these different values, hue, saturation, lightness, will let me play with its lightness. So I wanted to take this blue and make it less gray. I can move the saturation up. That will make it brighter. If I want to take the blue and make it darker or lighter, I can change the lightness value. So now I'm not quite the same color, right? But it does kind of match. So I started with the color from the sky. I played with the hue, saturation, lightness values. And now I have a new hex code I can use. So that's pretty handy. And now I copied that with Command C. I'm going to paste it in here. Oops, I lost the hashtag, so I'll add that back. Run that again. Now I have my new blue that kind of matches my sky. Again, I didn't pick exactly the sky color. I played with it. So these arrows here bring up different modes. RGB, not a very useful mode to tweak. HSL is very handy. Hue means what color is it? You probably don't want to touch that. Saturation means how bright is it? How much does it feel like the kind of Crayola version of the color? And lightness is how light or dark. So you can play with any of those values, and you'll see up in this, you can also play by moving it in this color space here. So this is fixed on hue, and then it's going to give me close to black, close to white, close to gray, close to bright. So the brightest version of this color would be that, and the darkest there. This hue, saturation, lightness color picker is awesome. I then click it again to get the hex code for it. So I'm going to go ahead and actually add I'm going to add a brown from the trees just for kicks. Let's say that I do it as a bottom border. Border bottom, 3 pix solid brown. That'll give me a color I can select. Right now it's just brown. Let's make it thicker so we can see it. That looks pretty ugly. If I come back here, I can now click on the brown, grab the color picker, and let me find a brown in a tree that I like. You'll notice these browns look pretty gray, actually. All right, there we go. And if I want to change, I can come back. I can see this is almost an orange if I brought it all the way up. That'll really change the feel of it. But I might want to bring it a little up in the hue, saturation, lightness space. There we go. There's a brown I like. And now I've picked colors from the image. They don't match exactly, but they match enough to feel like they match to a human. So matching colors doesn't always mean literally using that color picker and pulling the image right out. Sometimes it means playing with that hue, saturation, lightness. So once again, the color picker tool will let you come over and grab, if I wanted to pick a green, there's a green, right? We'll notice that green doesn't feel very green. Here, let's make well, whatever. You can see the green there. It doesn't look that green. If I went back in, oops, where'd we go? And I took that green and I played with this hue, saturation, lightness space. Obviously that now is bright green. That doesn't quite feel right, but I can play with these greens, and I have a bunch of natural greens that feel like they're in the space. The other thing you can do is just play with the picker and find the color you really like. You'll see these greens have a lot more yellow in them. There's like a flower right there. So sometimes you can find just the color you want from the image, but don't be afraid to also play with either right in this drag and drop space, or here you can do it by numbers with hue, saturation, lightness. You can take your green and you can make it brighter, or you can take your green and you can make it darker. I actually kind of like this green. Actually, I think I like that better than the brown. I just found a yellow that I like with that blue. So those are nice matching colors now that I pulled out of the image, but again, not directly. That yellow matches roughly this yellow here, and the blue matches roughly the sky. And I have a beautiful Get Out There and Bike banner. There it is. That's Color Matching 101.